September, and today I will be talking to you about what parents should know, a crash course on substance prevention. So, quick introductions. I am a substance use prevention specialist. I provide training for school staff to facilitate programs, arrange speakers for school events, and provide general resources and information for staff, parents, and students. All topics are on substance use and related mental health concerns. My department that I am a part of is prevention programs, and we are partially funded through the district's Local Control Accountability Plan, otherwise known as LCAP. We provide support and resources that aim to improve students' academic success and overall school climate while encouraging a healthy lifestyle free from violence, alcohol, tobacco, nicotine, and other drugs. There are two other subdivisions in my department, bullying prevention and TUPE, which is tobacco use prevention education. I wanted to talk to you about a few popular substances. Some are very well known and a few are up and coming. So we'll start with the most common, which is vaping. It's become a major issue, not only in schools, but everywhere. And these devices are easily hidden and users are able to be discreet about their use. There has been recent legislation in California that bans flavored vapes, but they are still available in various smoke shops. They're easily accessible to buy online, or students can get them through plugs or a dealer. And they access those people by using a lot of social media apps. So typical ones we hear about are Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp, anything that can connect other people to each other. And a common ingredient found in vape liquids is diacetyl. This is known to cause popcorn lung, which thickens and narrows airways, scarring the lungs, and it causes irreversible damage. So this is one of the biggest concerns that has been coming up recently. And popcorn lung is actually on par with what coal miners used to get when they were working in the mines for long hours, that dust settling in their lungs. It's similar to what popcorn lung does as well. And on the sides here, we have a few examples of vape devices. And so we could see some of them, the Flume, which is in the top left part, different flavors. Some of these are pretty popular, then pen devices on the bottom. And I wanted to kind of go over some of the other ones that are so enticing to students. They used to make them with a lot of cartoon characters. I haven't seen that as frequently, but I do see them online and around. They'll sell them as like little toy devices, so you could see that with the little bear. I've seen Hello Kitty ones. Pretty much anything you can think of, they probably do sell it. And on the bottom, what looks like highlighters, those are actual vape devices. They sell them to easily hide, and these blend right in. So if you were to pop the cap on, you would think that it was just a marker. There's lots of different versions, lots of different highlighter versions of this. So it's just good to be aware of what's out there and what could possibly be a vape. Another popular substance is marijuana. This one is a very common issue too. It's been on the rise due to numerous factors, including the legislation and development of numerous devices to consume the THC or the flower. Among the vaping devices confiscated, a large amount are THC vapes. THC levels in marijuana has seen a steady incline in potency, which means the amount of THC consumed is becoming more of a concern. And higher levels of THC in the body increases the risks of cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome is when there's so much THC in your body kind of starts to reject it. It's severe vomiting, severe nausea. If it happens, it usually ends up in a trip to the ER. And the only way that you can really get rid of that is to just completely get the THC out of your system, which means not introducing anymore. And then the psychosis is delusions and hallucinations. So high levels of THC have also been inducing psychosis in many people, and they're starting to find a relation between psychosis and high THC levels. Any form of mental illness that may be in the family or that the user might have themselves, it increases the likeliness of experiencing psychosis. And these are on the right here, these are all examples. So some of the more popular brands of the disposable vape pens for marijuana or THC, what some of the edibles look like. Notice that these look like the Cheeto Puffs look like they're just uh, a regular bag of Cheeto Puffs. The Doritos too. It's really important to pay attention to some of this stuff. Kids do not pay attention to the dosages and will sometimes ingest the whole pack of edibles, which can be very serious. Um, so moving on to opioids, fake pills, and fentanyl, I group these all three together because they all they're starting to all relate now. Opioids and fentanyl are of serious concern, especially when substances are bought on the streets. Illicit fentanyl, which is not made pharmaceutically, has been the source of many unintentional overdoses among youth. Fentanyl has been found in several street drugs and is being cut into counterfeit pills being sold as Xanax, benzos, Adderall, just for example. Vape pens, marijuana, cocaine, meth, and hallucinogens, as well as several other drugs, have been found laced with fentanyl. So when they get confiscated on the streets or in drug busts, they test the drugs and they're starting to find fentanyl and more of these. Uh, and dealers will add fentanyl to create a stronger addiction to their product. If the user dies, they know they will be able to hook others, which is why they continue to lace their products with something that's so addictive and lethal. Narcan can help. Narcan can help reduce the effects of an opioid overdose and is available without prescription. So, if that is something you're worried about, it's a good idea to carry it on you or just in case. It is important to note that Narcan does not stop the overdose entirely. You still need to call 911 if you are sure that they are experiencing an overdose. You don't administer and then just leave them alone. They do still need medical help. Narcan reduces and prolongs the need for help. Uh, Not by a long time though, by like minutes. Um, and then moving on to popular substances, hallucinogens. So these have been around for years. People, they kind of fall out into the wayside. They're not, I feel like they're not talked about as much. There's not a lot of new developments with them. But in work with my work with some of the students, I've noticed that these have been coming up a lot more. So, classic psychedelics such as LSD, which is also the same thing as acid, and psilocybin mushrooms, commonly referred to as shrooms, are still in use with today's youth. Hallucinogens have strong and unpredictable effects on the user. Different hallucinogens can present different risks, and the risks are significantly dependent on how the substance is used. Mushroom edibles have seen a surge in popularity. I've noticed a lot of vape shops carry these items. That's You can see it here, the brand Polka Dot on the screen. That's a gummy, I believe. But they also have chocolate bars. But the contents of these edibles are unregulated and can contain a variety of undisclosed ingredients. So there's been research done on a lot of these products, and they range from finding a substance called kratom in it, which is similar to an opioid, or having actual psilocybin mushrooms within the product, which is it's illegal, federally illegal. So just these are just to be things to keep an eye out and be aware of. Now, why should I be concerned? Their brain is still developing. So, between the ages of 11 and 25, the brain is still growing and changing. During this time, the brain develops from back to front. So at first, the parts of the brain that control things like moving your body, feeling emotions, the part of the brain that helps you think and control your impulses develops last, which is near the front of the brain. This can have noticeable effects on adolescent behavior, which I'll mention here, but adding substances hinders and alters the function and development of the brain. So without substances involved, you may have noticed some of these effects in your teens. Difficulty holding back or controlling emotions, a preference for physical activity, preference for high excitement and low effort activities, poor planning and judgment, and more risky and impulsive behaviors. So that comes naturally. And I want to touch more on that subject of risky behaviors. The cognitive control system. So, the cognitive control system focuses on choosing thoughts, emotions, and actions based on the situation and stopping automatic actions that aren't appropriate. The ability to control thoughts and actions develops gradually during the teenage years and into the 20s. This isn't fully formed until about your mid 20s. So, teens have a long way to go. Experience shapes this ability. So, because teens may not have enough knowledge, they might not weigh the pros and cons and predict outcomes accurately. So, if teenagers engage in risky behavior without negative consequences, they tend to see the benefits as higher and the risks as lower than their peers who haven't engaged in similar behaviors. They're also going to have a hard time understanding why the long-term effects are going to matter to them when it comes to substance use. Disadvantages of teen substance use. So, depending on the substance, short and long term health effects can be varied. These are common and known consequences of any kind of teen drug use. That's poor judgment. So, teenage drug use is associated with poor judgment in social and personal interactions. We already know that they have a hard time with judgment, so this just adds to the mix. Sexual activity. Drug use is associated with high risk sexual activity, unsafe sex, and unplanned pregnancy. Mental health disorders. Drug use can complicate or increase the risk of mental health disorders such as depression and anxiety. Impaired driving. Driving under the influence of any drug affects driving skills. It puts the driver, passengers, and others on the road at risk. And changes in school performance. So, substance use can result in worse grades, attendance, or experience in school. There is one caveat to that, and it's the students that are able to perform well, they show up, and they still get caught up in the mix. So, just because you don't see bad grades, bad attendance, or bad behavior in school doesn't mean that it might not be happening. So, one of the biggest reasons to not encourage young or teenage drug use is this statistic right here. And that is 70% of users who try an illegal drug before age 13 develop a substance abuse disorder within the next 7 years. So by the time they're 20, they could have a substance use disorder if they start before the age of 13. Now compare this to somebody who waited to try any kind of drug after the age of 17. That percentage drops down to 27%. So why do teens turn to substances? There's four main groupings: life transitions, socializing, emotional and psychological pains, and fitting in. Uh, for life transitions, we have moving, we have parental divorce, illness or deaths in the family, emotional and psychological pain. That could be just everyday teen dramas, bullying, loneliness, low self esteem. Mental health issues are commonly associated with teen substance use. Socializing, so they might use to overcome insecurities, let their guard down, or feel socially confident, as well as thinking that it makes them more open and that they're able to connect with others better while using it. And fitting in, feelings of being an outsider and longing to be included, wanting to be liked. Your kid might want to be friends with people who drink or do drugs, and they may feel that they need to participate or they might be left out. It's also seen as an easy path to making friends, fitting in, or being accepted with the quote unquote right crowd. So what can parents do to keep their student drug free? Um, there's a lot of information on this topic, but to sum it up, know your teen's activities. Pay attention to your teen's whereabouts. Find out what adult supervised activities your teen is interested in, and encourage them to get involved. Uh, this also includes going through their phone and knowing their passwords and expecting them to give you access to their phone for these reasons. Establish rules and consequences. Explain your family rules, such as leaving a party where maybe drug use is occurring and not riding in a car with somebody who's intoxicated. Work with your teen to figure out a plan to get them home safely. Uh, and if your team breaks the rules, consistently enforce consequences. This is one of the biggest things is the consistency is needed in order to establish a good sense of prevention. Um, know your teen's friends. If your teen's friends use drugs, your teen might feel pressure to experiment too. Out of all the risk factors, this uh, teens that have friends that do drugs, that is the most common telltale factor that they will more than likely engage. So it's good to know who and what your friends are what your students' friends are up to. And on top of that, being connected to their parents as well. You don't have to be best friends, but um, create a dialogue between you and their parents, so that way you can keep up and say, hey, I might have noticed this, or hey, just so you're aware, I found this on them. Just to keep the communication open. Keep track of prescription drugs, alcohol, or other substances in your home. Take an inventory of any and all substances, or lock up what you do not want your teen getting into. Provide support. Offer praise and encouragement when your teen succeeds. A strong bond between you and your teen might help prevent your teen from using drugs. So this is a key piece, is just strong bonds and a trusting relationship will go a long way. Set a good example. So if you do drink or if you do smoke, do so in moderation. Use prescription drugs as directed. Don't engage in illicit drugs. Yeah, good. Just setting a good example will go a long way. So I just wanted to address a few common myths, some arguments that we as adults tend to say or defend or enable teen drug use, and just add some added truth to this. Teen substance use isn't that serious. Teen drug and alcohol use, when left unaddressed, becomes adult substance use disorders. With that 70% statistic that we talked about earlier, this seems like a silly thing to say. Every teen experiments, it's just a phase. So this mentality stands in the way of finding the root causes of teen substance abuse, allowing the issue to develop further. So the more you allow them to partake, the closer you get to them possibly developing a disorder. It's okay to give teens alcohol or marijuana as long as they use it under supervision. This one follows the, well, they're going to do it anyway, they may as well do it here mentality. This is enabling behavior, not being a cool or understanding parent. And once again, goes back to that fact that the younger they start, the more likely they are to have a disorder. And not only that, you're allowing them to do it or providing it, which is not going to be helpful for them in the long run. They're only using or acting out for attention. So, teen substance use often has underlying causes. This is true. However, brushing their harmful habits off as just attention seeking behavior ignores the fact that your child is in need. And strict parenting prevents teen substance use. So, it may cause them to be more sneaky or less likely to come to you when they need help. And understanding the reasoning for being so strict, it in theory makes sense, but what you want what you want to avoid is being overly strict while also being overly passive. You need to sit right in the middle, and that will be your best place in terms of prevention and encouraging your students to stay away. Um, because what passive would look like is allowing them or giving them excuses on being able to use. So typical arguments that we sometimes hear from students or from our teens, and just some ideas for responses. Responses are going to matter, or responses are going to change depending on the student, how you approach them with it. They're all different, and the way they might argue will vary. But just some typical ones and some ideas that you can maybe take away and use in your own discussions. Other parents buy their kids vapes. Why can't you? Make it clear that you disapprove of underage drinking and substance misuse. Um, it's also illegal to buy your students or your teenagers anything. If they're under the age of 21, alcohol, marijuana, nicotine, they are still not allowed to have it. Um, it's not like doing it once or twice will hurt anything. Tell your child you care about their health and success. We gave you several reasons on why their health and why that matters, um, as well as the likelihood of them becoming of developing substance use disorder. You won't even know if I've tried or done drugs. And this one could possibly be true. What you want to do is show them you're paying attention and that you'll discourage risky behaviors and encourage the safe ones. And in all honesty, if by the time you find out if they get in trouble at school, it's most likely they've done it before in the past. They just haven't gotten caught. So you can also address this with, and it's completely up to you and what you feel is appropriate. But you can do drug tests. They sell those in the stores. You can do backpack searches. You can the once a week search their room. Um, Anything that shows that you will pay attention, that you will find it. Make it hard for them to hide. I see other kids doing it, but I'm not even sure why I would try it. So this isn't really an argument, but it still kind of shows that they're on the fence of maybe using substances. So what you want to do is build up your child's strategies for avoiding underage drinking and substance use. Even if you don't think they will want to try them, it's always good to give them those skills. And how would you know? You've never done anything like that. What you want to do is show them that you are a trustworthy source of information about these topics, or if you don't know the answer, that you can help them. You can help them to find it. You want them to come for information. You want them to come to you. You don't want them going to their friends. You don't want them going on the internet and finding some random website that is just giving a lot of false information about particular drugs. You want them to know that you will get them the correct information. And that's for safety purposes too. And one of the biggest ones that I think that I probably hear the most is if your child asks you about your own past or current substance use, uh, how can I tell them no when I did it in my past? Well, what we've done in the past, so you want to talk like 80s, 90s, even early 2000s, even 70s, depending on how old you are. That the stuff back then is not similar to what we have now. With fentanyl being in almost everything, which it feels like around every corner, and the potency of marijuana going up, it's just different. And to compare what we experienced to compare what they're experiencing right now, it's not even the same thing. And you can use those reasons in terms of potency and fatalities as a reason against them starting anything young. And many experts recommend being honest about this. That's up to you. That is if you decide you want to be honest about your past use. Um, Even if you drink alcohol or use drugs as a teen, it shouldn't stop you from discouraging your own child from repeating that behavior now. And if you and your child are comfortable, you can share relatable stories from your own life. So things that come to mind are just stories of caution, like what happens, that scary situations that might have occurred that you didn't know what to do in that time. Um, Relaying on safety information to them are some examples. So, how to talk to your teen. I have 9 steps here. And like I said before, they may vary depending on your child, but these are great places to start. So, you want to create a safe, comfortable environment for your child to share the truth. Uh, this will look like you're not gonna start a safe, comfortable environment after you've just had an argument. So, you want it to start fresh. You want it to be even keel when you start. So, this safe, comfortable environment. Turn off all smartphones and other electronics. Don't allow any interruptions during your conversation. This one is especially for conversations that you know are going to be long and that you are certain will take a lot of concentration. Listen to your child vent. Sometimes they just need to complain and get things off their chest. This is very true, and something I do like to ask is, do you want to vent or do you want advice? And I let them choose, and you go from there. Be attentive for topics that lead into drugs or alcohol. Ask your teen what they think about those people or their behaviors. You'll want to focus completely on your child and try to see things from their point of view. It can be hard, but sometimes just the effort can kind of help shift your mindset on how to approach the topics. Be aware that your child could be hiding their true feelings out of fear, embarrassment, or something else. Ultimately, our kids don't want to disappoint us, and so it might take them some time to come out about what exactly they're feeling about these topics. Listen between the words. Pay attention to body language, facial expressions, eye contact, difficulty finding the right words to use. All of that will tell another story. Recognize and confess when you don't have the energy to be a good listener and agree to restart the conversation as long as it's not of dire importance. Um, we're all human, and they'll definitely understand this more the older they are if you are able to maybe have the conversation at a different time. Um, doesn't hurt to ask, and if it needs to be done, then it needs to be done. But be aware of your own energy and your own what you're capable of in that moment. It's okay to have long pauses and moments of silence during your conversation. It may even help. Uh, it may help things sink in when you're talking about heavy subjects. They also might fill in the gaps for you. You don't have to be prompting them all the time with questions. Uh, Once they start talking and you get into a good flow of conversation, if it starts to uh, if it starts to kind of slow down, they might surprise you with some of the stuff that they bring up. So just some communication techniques that you can introduce into your daily, into your daily life. Uh, these are brief descriptions. There's lots of information about these out on the internet, and it trying them out. It might feel funny at first because you're changing the way you're talking, but I do use these fairly often, and you do have I have noticed better communication with using them. So uh, to start with, iMessages, they're a communication tool used to express feelings and thoughts in a constructive way, especially during conflicts or sensitive conversations. Active listening, that involves fully focusing on the speaker, showing engagement, and responding appropriately. It goes beyond hearing words, it's about understanding the message. And reflective listening is a technique that involves mirroring or reflecting back what the speaker has said to confirm understanding and validate their feelings. I use this a lot working with students because sometimes I think I hear something wrong, or I want to make sure I really do understand that. And so I'll rephrase it to them, and I always tell them, like, feel free to correct me, but this is what I heard. Is this right? And then you just go from there. It clears up a lot of misunderstandings. And motivational interviewing, it's a technique aimed at helping individuals find their own motivation to change. It's particularly effective for encouraging behavior change by fostering a supportive and collaborative environment. So, all in all, the key is to build trust early on to prevent substance use. Start these conversations young. They do not need to be long discussions or in depth. Ask questions, ask their opinion, and make your stance known. All of this prevention of substances in any form, it's a work in progress. It's always going to be constant. So we just have to do our best to provide the information and to make sure that they are confident enough in their ability to say no, um, or even to seek out and reach help if they need it. Which brings me to this, some substance abuse support resources. Here I have Care Solace. Care Solace has a webpage on the San Juan Unified School District's website. It's a search engine and you could put in information for mental health and substance use, tailors it by age, and you can search local. So it'll bring up all the local spots, rehabilitation, therapists, counselors, whatever you're possibly looking for in that field. Then we have Substance Abuse and Mental Health Administration, often and frequently referred to as SAMHSA. They're a great tool. They're also another way to find treatment, but they have several great guides on what to expect if you're seeking treatment, or uh, parent information, how to handle supporting somebody who is uh, who or how to handle somebody who is currently going through substance use disorder. You should also try your insurance provider if you have one. Most often, networks will have in-house providers. You just need to ask. And then Sacramento County Department of Health Services, they have a mental health access team, and they will do. You can request over the phone assessments, and they have services available for all ages. So, substance support in the district. The district does offer some low-level support in the form of prevention and brief intervention. Contact your school site to see if they offer any programs regarding substance use prevention. Program availability is dependent on the school site, and some programs may not be available. I do want to note that these programs are not counseling or therapy. That needs to be done with a licensed drug and alcohol counselor. These are more preventative in nature, focus on education and harm reduction. For more information on the programs themselves, or if you would like more information about substances, addiction, and prevention, please contact us at preventionprograms@sanjuan.edu or at 916-979-8623. That is our assistance phone number. And thank you.